Eagles! Afternoon to you. What a day. And you knew the hammer was going to fall on Doc Rivers. You knew there'd be a price to pay for that embarrassing moment on Sunday. You had to. By the way, Doc Rivers has been on this program, and I love Doc Rivers, but I couldn't believe this stat, and I'm going to throw it at you here. He's lost 10 straight elimination games. 10 straight as a coach. That championship that he won with the Celtics years ago, what was it, 15 years ago? It seems like an Aaron Rodgers moment now. Like it was in a different era of basketball. Crazy. I mean, had to fall on him. Now, look, I think the way that the Sixers are constructed, you're never going to win a championship with the current roster that you have. Again, we talked a little bit about management yesterday, and we talked how the Eagles, how they have a system in place and how they have a culture in place. No matter if it's Andy Reid or if it's Nick Sirianni, Doug Peterson, Chip Kelly, it doesn't matter. There's a winning culture in the Eagle organization at the NovaCare Center. There's not one with the Sixers. You don't feel that team is going to win a championship ever. And I'll say this to you, too. I was just talking to Tone about this. Joel Embiid, you're never going to win an NBA championship with him being your number one option. And when you bring a guy like James Harden in, and for the record, if I'm the Suns, why don't you stop that conversation with him? Why would you walk over that bridge with him? He's not going to deliver shit to you. I don't care he reinvented his game. At the end of the day, James Harden is not a one either. Let me give you a for instance on big men and centers. Name me one center in the history of the sport that was a finisher, that finished basketball games off. Russell? Okay. In today's NBA, he'd be a power forward. Okay, I mean, shit, Magic Johnson was as tall as he was. So in his era, again, I mean, he played center, so we go with that. But Russell, closeout guy, could close basketball games out and did. Olajuwon is the only other guy I can think of that dominated a game, rebounding, defensively, offensively, shooting free throws. He's the only guy. Okay? Moses Malone, that's a good one. Kareem, absolutely not. Kareem was the greatest two in the history of basketball. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did not close games out. Magic Johnson and Oscar Robertson did for him. That is not true. When Kareem or Lou Alcindor was in Milwaukee, he didn't close games out. They didn't win a championship until they got Oscar Robertson from Cincinnati. All those years of winning MVPs and scoring titles in Los Angeles, Kareem never won a title until Magic showed up in 1980. Shaq was never a closeout guy. He had Penny Hardaway and Nick Anderson. When he was in Orlando, he had Dwayne Wade in Miami, and he had Kobe in Los Angeles. Shaq wasn't the go-to guy with 2 minutes left in a game. You're not going to win a championship with Joel Embiid being your number one option. And personally, if I'm him, seeing the landscape of how the Sixers are run, I'd pull in Anthony Davis. I don't know about you, Tone, but I'd pull in Anthony Davis. Davis was never going to win a title in New Orleans. He needs to go to a place where someone can help him cross the finish line. Because the 2-2s they have in Philly, we're never going to win an NBA championship. Jason Tatum's a closeout guy. Jimmy Butler's a funny, the Sixers had him and let him go. You had a closeout guy, but you chose wrong. And I said this the other day about the organization. I get, you can look at the situations as one of, and this goes one more time to how great the Eagles are as an organization. But look at the mistakes, folks. Simmons, the Butler decision. Bringing in James Harden. What did it get you? Eliminated. Embiid, as of right now in NBA history, is the only guy to win that award, never getting to a conference finals. In the history of the sport. You think he's really going to carry you to an NBA title? He's not. You have to make a deal for an elite one, or you're never going to win. Go play with Kawhi in his 66 games. Kawhi's a one when he feels like playing. I mean, there's very few of these guys. That's why you see dominance with the Golden State Warriors, or you're seeing this great run with Miami. Isn't it funny? The two bubble teams may end up getting actually back to the NBA Finals when everyone wanted to put an asterisk on it. Both those teams are in their conference finals. How crazy is that? Well, it's great management. Look what Rob Pelinka did to get the Lakers to where they are right now. Good management. Rob pulling all the right moves and making all the right decisions, right? Pat Riley, probably the second best executive to Jerry West in NBA history, right? There's no coincidence that look at the organizations that are in the finals. You got great management upstairs. The Sixers don't have that. They don't have that. So what I would say is this. Hey, Embiid, you're never going to win an NBA championship in Philadelphia. You're just never. You need to pull an Anthony Davis. You need to go find a guy to play with. Maybe you go to Golden State somehow. Do something like that. Look at KD. KD's not a one. Never has been. Never will be. 2 championships were awesome. But they won championships before him and after him in Golden State. He didn't carry the mail there. He was the LeBron James factor in Golden State. My point is that the Sixers, and what Rick Barry said on the program the other day, they're constructed horribly and coached bad. Now, look, Doc, I don't think Doc deserved to be fired, but someone's got to fall on the sword for that disgusting performance by those two guys and the entire team. I mean, it's just what it was on Sunday. It was a disgrace. These guys aren't available. Okay, I get it. Who in their right mind ever thought? Look at Giannis. Giannis is a guy that carries people. Embiid's not carrying anybody. The guy in Denver may carry his team to an NBA title. I think people look at Joel Embiid and they go, hey, he's the best big man we've had since probably Moses Malone, right? Funny. I don't see the same intangibles of Malone. Hell, I don't see the same intangibles as Shaquille O'Neal. So the news earlier, Doc Rivers was relieved of his duties as the head coach of the 76ers. Had to happen. Because, when you suck and your players lay down and your players don't perform, it's always on the coach, isn't it? See, to me, that's more player accountability. Dude, somebody's got to stand up and play. You can't keep firing coaches, making excuses. You just can't. Eventually, you got to look at the people you have in the room. And you have to go like this. I'm not winning with him. But he's a great talent. I don't care. I'm not winning with him. Let me give you another example of that. How many people thought Seattle was going to make the playoffs last year? They got rid of Russell Wilson. I never in my wildest imagination thought that the Seahawks were going to be good last year. But Pete Carroll has been telling us that for the last really 3 years that it's time to move on. Nobody in Seattle wanted to hear it. Nobody in the league wanted to hear it. Pete Carroll was an asshole for wanting to move on. Funny how that now and that narrative has changed. It's true. It's true. I wonder what this was. I wonder what this was when Doug Peterson got fired and they decided to go with Howie instead of keeping Doug. I wonder how that went down. I wonder what people thought. Surely some of you thought that the Eagles kept the wrong guy. Because since I've been talking sports, and mostly to the Eagle fans, that wasn't the narrative when I first jumped on here. The narrative when I first jumped on here was that Howie vision. Okay? Howie vision. So to me, I mean, end of the day, this does come down to management one more time. Comes down to management. Sixers making excuses. And you go after Doc. Doc's going to get a job again, but I don't think you can escape the 10 straight elimination game losses that he's had. You know, he's turning out to be, he does have a championship, but a little bit like Marty Schottenheimer. Okay? You got to perform in the postseason, Doc. All right. Let's move on to some topics here. By the way, we got a shitload of them. Merrill Reese is going to join us in hour number 2 at 4:30 Eastern time. And I want to do this here. There's still some holes to be made on this Eagle team. And as June 1 comes around the corner here, Howie may have to take out the shopping cart. May have to take out the shopping cart. And I wrote down 4 guys that I think are going to be either people you're going to try to deal for in a trade, or could be salary cap casualties. Okay? Where is the biggest weakness now for Howie to still address this all season? Let's underscore one thing here, too. Remember something. C.J. Gardner-Johnson did not become a Philadelphia Eagle until 9 days before the start of the season. Howie was building the roster still a week out from the opener in September of last year. Christian, I like your thinking. Christian, I like your thinking. Okay? I like it. Let me bring these names up before we get to the topics. Linebacker, I agree, guys. Because you know what you can do with linebackers, too? You can also put them on your special teams. And it's a fail-safe for Nakobe Dean in case Nakobe Dean doesn't live up to what we actually think he can be. Fair? Okay. I do have Myles Jack on this list. I think Myles Jack at $11.5 million probably is going to be a little bit too rich for the Pittsburgh Steelers as they're building that roster back up again, especially when they're trying to put new pieces in the secondary back there. Myles Jack's $11.5 million contract is probably going to be a little too much for the Steelers and the Rooney family for them to be able to absorb. I see him either restructuring or going out in the open market and potentially landing in a place like Philadelphia. I would have great interest in somebody like Myles Jack. Why? Evaluated great. He's not being whacked in Pittsburgh because he's not productive. He's being whacked in Pittsburgh like James Bradbury was in New York because of money. You know, sometimes when you start making, look, the top end of linebackers in the NFL is $20 million. 11.5, that's rich for the Steelers. They don't spend that kind of money. I would love this. Myles Jack, Steeler. To the Eagles, I would dig this. I believe C.J. Mosley, who is reportedly going to make $21.4 million, not a chance. When you got to pay Aaron Rodgers next year $100 million and you have to pay him $100 million. Mosley's a top-end linebacker in the NFL. I would love to have someone like this playing in the middle. By the way, I think they need to get experience in that linebacking core. I think you need experience. The Budda Baker deal, the more I think about it, the more it's a possibility. However, does Arizona cut him? This guy wants to get an Adams-type deal. He's not going to make $20 million. No safety's going to make $20 million. That's not going to happen. They're not doing that, what Seattle did a couple years ago when they made that deal for the jet safety. Nobody's doing that anymore. Nobody's doing that. How about Chuck Clark, Baltimore, safety, 6.7. I think he's going to be a casualty because of the salary cap, and I think Baltimore end up, because of the new contract they just gave Lamar Jackson, I think he could be one of these guys that Howie Roseman looks at after June 1. All right, which one of these four guys? Miles Jack, C.J. Mosley, Budda Baker, Chuck Clark. Two safeties and a linebacker. I think these are the positions you need to look for when it comes to getting experience. Okay? But which one of these guys? C.J. Mosley? I like him. I think C.J. Mosley is a player that could come into Philadelphia and solidify that defense. And let me just put it to you this way. If you get one of these four players on your defense, you could have the best defense in the NFC. Okay? They could have it. I'm going to get to Devin White here in a second here. They could have the best defense. One of these players could solidify that. Okay? For me, Miles Jack is probably the cheaper guy, but Mosley would be the one for me that I would like to have the Eagles pursue. Okay? I totally would. All right. I want to get to the topics. Real quick, guys. You guys are asking me about company business. How would I know? I don't know anything about that, nor is it my business. I don't care. I don't ask questions like that. I see you guys. Look, I'm not ignoring anybody. I don't know anything. It's not my business. Big Sills has enough to worry about for 3 hours. Okay? Seriously. I'm a one-man band here. I'm a one-man band. Me worrying about other people's gigs is crazy and counterproductive to me. So when you ask me questions like that, it's not that I'm ignoring you. I don't know. Okay? I have no idea. And it's not my business. I don't own JAKIB. So when you ask me that, I don't know. I've learned one thing, and I just told Tone this. I learned one thing in my 32 years of doing this. Worry about my own gig. Okay? I worry about my own gig. Hey, Twits, you know what I'm saying? I just worry about Big Sills here. And I'm thankful that I get a chance to come on every single day. I have no idea what's going on business-wise. If I own the company, it'd be a different story. But I come on here every day, 3 to 6 Eastern time. That's all I know. And somebody just said, ask Tone. No, I don't care to know. It's not my business. I don't care. Why would I care about someone else's gig when I got to worry about my own? Makes no sense, guys. Do you worry about the people you work with in their gigs? And if you are, you're not a productive person. I just worry about Big Sills here. Stone goes like this, dude, I get a call every day to be a producer. What the hell do I know? Yeah. Love you guys, man. I appreciate it, but I think you take me for a little more than what I am, that I kind of worry about other people. I have no idea what's going on. At least you ain't crying like Debo. Thank you, Cosmo. Slasher goes, that's the hard truth. Absolutely, man. Do you know how many shows and you know how many producers and things that I've seen in my 32 years in broadcasting? Yeah, it's what it is, man. Any offensive line. Hey, Michael, do you notice that? A lot of O-lineman guys don't get cut. Okay? They find ways to keep them dudes, and if not, they trade them. Debo, all good, man. I appreciate it, and I understand. I get it. You know, hey, It happens all the time, though, in our business. JM, JM, man, you have the line of the day. Everybody's replaceable, including me. My moccasin's on the wall, too. You kidding me? We're all worker bees, like Howard Stern says. Unless you own your own domain, unless you own your own moat, we all work for somebody in the world. Hey, JM, seriously, program director called me in, man. He goes, yeah, guy nailed his shoes to the door and put a note under it. Try replacing these. You know what the guys did? He goes, easy. You're cheaper. They hired somebody cheaper, little less numbers, same revenue. Didn't matter. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Those were nice compliments too, by the way. I missed the old vodka commercials. I agree with Sills that Gannon was distracted in the Super Bowl because of his backdoor dealing with the cards. B-Water, correct, and I agree. Okay? Looked real stupid walking into a parking lot in socks. Hey, let's get to Devin White. From what I'm understanding, talking to Bruce Arians, that conversation's not going anywhere. The conversation with Devin White and his people aren't going anywhere. I don't believe that they would cut him. But if you're the Eagles, would you make a move for him? He's a $20 million a year guy. And the Eagles don't spend that kind of money. Is it too rich for their blood? Now, look, he's 25 years old. He's 25 years old. You could have that guy in that position for the next decade. Is that worth it? You would never have to draft another linebacker because you've got your guy. He's one of the top three. He's one of the top three guys in the league. Would the Eagles make a move to go get him? White, $18 million a year. That's a little too rich, I think, for them. I don't believe they want to spend that kind of money. CJ goes, I would do it. You know why, CJ, I think the $20 million might be worth it? Because of his age. Tone, I believe he's 25. So him being that young, being the captain of a Super Bowl champion team, and being that productive, $20 million seems like that it's a bargain. Because if that guy plays 10 years, is that not worth it? Having a guy that's a staple on your defense for the next decade. Wouldn't that be worth it? I'd rather pay for a number 3 wideout. Not me. Number 3 wideout. Why would I need to pay that kind of money for a number 3 wideout? I got to worry about paying Devontae in 2 years. Why would I want to do that? I'm not wasting my resources on a number 3 wideout. I would maybe make the move. I would see how much I could deal with because I'd love to have Devin White, CJ Mosley. I think they need to get a guy like that in the building. Smith is small. I would say this to you. I would say that I would like to have that opportunity to at least broach that conversation. Devin White's a great ball player. I think he's a great football player. Okay, I do. I think he's a great football player. I want to get to this topic. How important, how will the Eagles utilize DeAndre Swift? What option will he be in this new offense for the Eagles? What would we say the number one option is on this team for Jalen Hurts? What's the number one option? Run the ball? Goddard? AJ? Devontae? First down. So that's running the ball then. That's running the ball. Interesting. Okay. So then he has to be a focal point in the attack. AJ, Goddard, Smith, and Swift, Tone says. Could he be the most important player in this offensive huddle, DeAndre Swift? Here's why I say this. You're going to have something in your backfield that you haven't had since Jalen Hurts has been a starting quarterback. You know what that is? You're going to have the ability to have a screen game. That's got to improve his chances of getting to 4,000 passing yards. Okay? That's got to improve his chances. You know, the Eagles have no screen game. They've got to be the only football team in the NFL that doesn't have a screen game. But that's because that's what the RPO is. You see, screen game is, it's reads. It's part of a progression that most quarterbacks in the NFL go through. You don't see your opens, go to the screen game. It's a high percentage play. Brady's made a career out of it and won Super Bowls with that play. That entire screen game, Brady, the intermediate passing game, it has won Brady 7 Super Bowls. Deep passing game does not win Super Bowls. The intermediate passing game does. Brady has shown you that. Appreciate you coming aboard, Joey. How important can he be in this, and how would you utilize DeAndre Swift? Do you build your offense around him? He could be a Le'Veon Bell. How important was Le'Veon Bell in that Steeler offense? He was a 1,500-yard back, and he was what? 700-yard receiving guy. He became such a focal point of that attack with Ben Roethlisberger, AJ. Hell, even Smith-Schuster, who was the number 2 option on that team. This guy could be a force in this offense. And I think that was one of the attractive things that they saw in that game 1 of last year, was that this guy could be a major focal point. My opinion, do you run the offense through him? Run the ball? And listen, I'm talking about other than Jalen here. Le'Veon Bell was a superstar. That's what Christian says. Really? How many people think Le'Veon Bell was a superstar? I'll tell you what, when he left Pittsburgh, you really think he was a superstar player? Usually superstar players are superstar players like Brady or Stafford or whomever. And they go other places and they win and put up great numbers. Le'Veon Bell was a turd when he left Pittsburgh. He never recouped anything, including his money. He went to the Jets. He was a disaster. He's out of the league now. He was a baller with the Steelers because the Steelers ran the offense through him, not through AB. They ran the offense through Le'Veon Bell. Can you imagine if Le'Veon Bell becomes a guy that, here, what would you be more in fear of? Knowing that you got Devontae Smith, you got Dallas Goedert, and you got A.J. Brown out wide and inside, and you got a back that could potentially get you 50 catches this year and potentially 1,200 yards rushing. What's more of a weapon in your offense? This is why everyone wanted Bijan Robinson. To me, DeAndre Swift could be more of a weapon in that offense than any other player outside of Jalen Hurts because of the versatility he gives you. I got to worry about 50 catches. I got to worry about 1,200 yards. And it's built around the run game. I don't think you can just put DeAndre Smith in a huddle and just go like this. Here's the ball. Go ahead, get 3 yards, and then take him out, put him on the sideline. I think you've got to run that offense through him a little more. Max 10 carries? No, man. His max should be 20 carries. I'm trying to eliminate the carries for Hurts. I'm trying not to have Jalen miss games late in the year like he has in the last 2 years. I don't want that. I want him to actually, as the season goes on, I want his carries to increase. I want to see those numbers get better and bigger. What about Penny? Dude, what about Penny? I got to hope that he plays 12 games this year. I got to worry about his health. Every single running back that the Philadelphia Eagles have right now have issues everywhere. 2 of them have health issues, and the other 2 have inexperience issues. I don't know. Do you have a back? Once again, the Eagles are going cheap at the running back position, and it could cost you this year, especially when you're taking on better football teams with better coaches. See, last year you can get away with that shit. You're not going to get away with that this year. You're not getting away with that. You're going to get away with it in the NFC because the NFC is not very good. There's a handful of teams you have to concern yourself with. And I would say the handful of teams in the NFC, Niners, Cowboys, Seattle, Eagles, then the rest. Minnesota doesn't frighten me until they could show me they can win games. Games that matter. You know, just because you win 12 games a year doesn't mean you're a good football team. It just doesn't. Because every time I ask you to get into a situation where you have to try to win a ball game, you can't. The Minnesota Vikings are clearly this Philadelphia 76ers of the NFL. Okay? They can't win big games. Have a great regular season. Win 50-some-odd games, you get them to a limelight game or you put them in a spotlight game, they melt. Every single time, they melt. Peanut goes, Swift is risky to me. Penny at the end of 2021 was averaging 135 yards. Peanut, once again, though, that man has averaged 2 starts in the last 5 years. You cannot count on Rashad Penny. Don't build your team around something that is not reliable. Why would you build your football team around a player who's not reliable? You wouldn't. No matter what talent, no matter what talent he has. Could Rashad Penny be more of a gifted player than DeAndre Swift? I don't think so, but let's just say for conversation's sake, say you think he is. The reality is you can't rely on him. This is why, again, you could have got a player like Le'Veon Bell making rookie money, put him in the backfield. Look, the Jalen Carter move is okay. I'm good with it. But what do you think is more risk? Jalen Carter or Bijan Robinson being a star in the NFL? What's more of a risk? Penny might not see the field and has to make the roster too. You're going to see Penny in preseason a lot. Probably so. And I would make this comment to you too, Weapon. One thing about preseason, I think the NFL should shit can the entire preseason. They're a waste of time. And on top of that, they just absolutely are ridiculous for the fans. You pay top dollar price for a shitty product. You don't get the full product. You basically are paying full price at TJ Maxx or Marshall's for something you know is discounted. It's a discounted football game. And fans have to pay full price for those tickets. And I think they hijack, and I'm talking the NFL. They hijack their fans. Even the organizations, the Eagles think it's a joke. The Eagles don't think much of preseason. Why should you? Why should you go there? Because you know why? You're great fans. But I think they should shit can exhibition football. Just have those controlled scrimmages, put them on the NFL Network, put them on Fox or ESPN like they do the spring games, and go about it. Hell, if college football doesn't need exhibition football, why does the NFL? It's a gimmick. It's another way of hijacking their fans and doing this. I don't have to put my top product out, but yet you'll pay full price. Talk about getting ripped off. Biggest ripoff going, man. And plus you worry about your players getting hurt. Exhibition football's a joke. It's not like it used to be where guys were actually on those teams to make the club still. They already have the idea who the team is. They got a notion on who it is. They already know, man. Okay? So to me, again, DeAndre Swift, I would like to do this. I would totally go and say, Try to run that offense through him. But see, this is why they can't. They can't run that offense through him because they're not sure he's going to be reliable, and they don't spend the money on that position. The Philadelphia Eagles have a hole in their offense, and it's in the backfield. As much as I like the player, I mean, you got a bunch of guys back there now. That's a shame because what you're trying to me, I still think that there's a great chance that Jalen misses football games this year because you didn't solidify that position. You think really how about this? Let me ask this question. Do you think with the current group of guys that you have enough talent in the backfield to make up for 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns? Do you think you have enough talent? Do you think you have enough talent right now to make up for 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns? In the running back position, I do not. That's why you have a shitload of backs. They're going to do it by committee. How could you think that? Swiss never had 1,000. Penny's always hurt. And the other two guys are non-productive. How do you think? Where did that come from? So you really think that you got a collection of backs that are in the same room with Miles Sanders? That's crazy thinking. You don't really think you have just as much talent in the backfield as you did a year ago, do you? Because, again, you have the word potential. Rashad Penny was fired in Seattle. DeAndre Swift, do you know what they said about him in Detroit? Will he get better in Philly? This is what Chris Spielman told me about him. He runs into his blockers a ton of times. Watch it on film. I did last night. And you could see him running up the backside of offensive linemen. Like Penei Sewell used to have a problem with him coming up on the backside of offensive linemen. And he would get some of these guys hurt because he didn't run with vision. Wasn't that one of the criticisms that Miles Sanders had? Is that he wasn't good in traffic and that he ran to contact instead of being elusive? Okay, will he get better? He's got to be more patient. And would he be more patient with a better O-line? Detroit had a great line. Third-ranked line in the NFL. Second best offensive line was the Ravens. Number one were the Eagles. The third best O-line was in Detroit. Wasn't like they had a bad O-line. That's a good group up there. Center's good. Penei Sewell's good. Guards are decent. They got a bunch of good players up there. So how is he going to improve in that offense? Hurts in the RPO? Could that help? Probably. You know what? I'll tell you this. My opinion, that RPO may make him have more vision and patience because he has to wait on Jalen Hurts' decision-making. That may actually be one of the reasons why they brought him to Philly. Because if you think about it in the RPO is decision-making on the quarterback. And he slows that process up, doesn't he? Interesting. He actually could potentially be a better player in Philly because of the style of football they play. When you run a drop back and you run with a quarterback like Jared Goff Goff's not going to take off running unless he's under duress. Jalen Hurts is part of the system is running in the RPO. So it might make him a little bit more patient in watching plays develop. That's the one area where he's got to improve. And could a team like the Eagles that run that RPO, could that be something that could help him improve that part of his game? Look, I think he's an electric ball player. And for the record, I want to make sure I underscore it. I'm not dissing the move. I think the move is great. I think he brings another element to the game that could maybe help Jalen Hurts in the passing game even improve even more and make guys like Devontae Smith and Goddard even more productive. I'm not saying that. But I think you've got to be able to use him a little bit more than what a lot of people thinking. Just giving him the ball is not going to be not be enough. Fly says I'd rather have Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's going to have a lot of suitors. If you're going to pay $7 million, well, then again, I'd rather pay $7 million for Dalvin Cook than $7 million for Miles Sanders. Dalvin Cook is a seasoned professional. Vet says, I think Penny could turn out like Travis Etienne was injured in college and in the pros. Now he's top 10. Behind our line, Penny could have a career year. Vet, it's 5 years though, Vet. Vet, 5 years. He has 2 starts a year. He has 11 starts in 5 years. He couldn't beat a 5th-round running back out. He couldn't. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, and then Seattle went out and drafted a guy from Michigan State because they couldn't rely on his durability. Nobody said he doesn't have the talent. I've never said he doesn't have the talent. You just can't count on that shit. He's just not reliable. And I can't put my offense, and nor do I want to build my offense around a guy who can't be relied on. Dude, that's one of the reasons why the 49ers went out and got Trey Lance. It wasn't because Garoppolo wasn't winning ball games. It was because they couldn't rely on his durability. Jimmy Garoppolo's issues is not winning games. Jimmy Garoppolo's issues are being there for games. That's his issue. Okay? That's his issue. And the kid Walker turned out to be, I think he finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting. He had a great rookie season. Big fan of his. All right. I want to do something here. And I know this is going to turn into a shit show. And I debated whether or not to do this. I'm going to ask you a question here when it comes to building a football team and the quarterbacks that are in the game today. Every one of these guys are going to be like a NASCAR. I don't want you to look at the current teams they're on. If you had to build your football team today with one of these quarterbacks, I think Mahomes is going to be the slam dunk answer. So I'm going to take him out of this conversation. I think we'd all agree. You're going to build your football team today in the NFL. The prototypical quarterback that you'd want to have would be Patrick Mahomes. The coach is the same. The talent's the same. Okay? Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts. You notice I left Kyler Murray out. I don't think he's in that group. Okay? And I'm not going to use Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old. I'm not building my team with a 40-year-old guy. Okay? So these 7 guys here, who would you pick and want the prototypical quarterback to be if you were building a football team? CJ goes Burrow or Hurts for me. And look, Mahomes is the easy answer. Okay? Hurts is the system. Burrow has Hurts' mental toughness. One quarterback that you would do to build your football team. Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Allen. So you think Jalen Hurts could be on a... Let's do this then, Yale. Yale, do you think Jalen Hurts would have won that Super Bowl if he was the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs last year? I do not. With a tight end, that's it. Fair offensive line? I do not. I do not believe he could have taken that team to a Super Bowl. I don't believe that team would have went to an AFC championship game. Of all these quarterbacks here, I would say Lamar and Hurts need a lot of people around him to help him. Because the more you do, the more help you need. Remember that. See, people are under the notion here, the more he does, the more he's responsible for the movement of the offense. Dude, the more you do, the more help you need. Okay? Tom Brady and Joe Burrow and guys like that, they don't have to have any kind of running game. They create the running game with their arm. Andy Reid effect. Andy Reid couldn't get a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb. He runs kind of an RPO kind of deal, didn't he? He wasn't going to win with him. Allen and Burrow are the same, need weapons. Really? Shit, Joe Burrow took Cincinnati with the worst offensive line in the NFL to the Super Bowl. He didn't have a full team. He had great skilled guys, I'll give you that. His skilled guys are compatible with the Eagles' skilled guys. So you're there, you're not off base. Okay? You're not off base. And for the record, to Yale, what you said, hey, I don't know, Josh Allen could go into Kansas City and win a Super Bowl. But here's why I would go, and if I had to pick one of these guys, because again, I personally think these are would we not agree? If you're going to build your football team with one of these 7 guys, these are the 7 guys, right? Would you add anyone else to the mix here? Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow, Allen, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and Jalen Hurts. I got Jalen in there. I think he's one of the 7, right? McNabb was an RPO. The Eagles forced McNabb to make lemonade out of motor oil. Didn't really have the greatest skilled guys, did he? Okay, fair enough. But would we not agree? Would you add anybody else to this list? I'm not adding Kyler Murray. I'm not adding anybody else really to the list here. I'm not even going to put Russell Wilson in this list here. I wouldn't start my team with him too because he's up there in age. These are your 7 guys. Fields? No way. Not in this room. Not yet. Peanut? Not yet. And maybe never. But these are your 7 players that, because Deshaun Watson, I want to see him pick his game back up like he had it when he was in Houston. All right? I want to see him get back to the situation where he was back in Houston. So these are your 7 players. If I had to pick one of these guys, man, I like Trevor Lawrence a lot. You know why I'm starting to like Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen? He protects the football better. I'm looking here's my characteristics. I want a guy who protects the ball. Here are the guys that protect the ball. Jalen Hurts. Jalen's the best of all these guys. Jalen's the best of all these guys. Isn't that crazy? Give me one intangible that Jalen Hurts is better than any one of these guys. You know, you could debate the arm strength, right? Am I right, Tone? You could debate the arm strength. Which guy throws the ball better? Who do you think's a better progression reader? Who's a bigger dude physically? You know the one thing that Hurts does better than every guy on this list, including Mahomes? He protects the football better. He protects the football. I'd rather have a guy lead the NFL in the least amount of picks than a guy who leads the NFL in touchdown passes. Wouldn't you? That's kind of what Hurts does. Smart. It's almost a hidden stat, isn't it? Jalen Hurts is not going to throw for 50 touchdowns. For that, you have to throw the ball 700 times. The Eagles don't want to throw the ball 700 times. The Eagles actually want to have what? A balanced attack. That's why DeAndre Swift comes into this conversation. That's why I brought DeAndre Swift up. Getting him more involved helps that duality of the quarterback and also gives you less turnovers and it gives you best opportunity at high percentage plays that don't result in those turnovers. Jalen Hurts, I think so, Yale. I think Geno Smith's a one-hit wonder. Okay? It's funny. Both Jalen and Geno have 1 year under their belt. but I feel better about Jalen Hurts too. I feel like the Eagles do. I feel better about him. Geno Smith. Here's why I think Geno Smith is a 1 year and he's a one-hit wonder. I think Geno, because there's too much bad football on tape of him. We've seen too much bad tape of him. We've seen a shitload of bad tape. There's not a shitload of bad tape on Hurts since he's been a starter in Philly. Okay? Now there's better players around him. I get it. Geno, I think Geno's a one-hit wonder. Hurts seemed to clean pocket and panic stepped on Kelsey's foot. Niner. Jalen Hurts doesn't have progression reading in the offense. He's got decision making once again. It's different. It's a different system. Not one of these quarterbacks that I'm naming here run the kind of system. Like personally, I don't think Patrick Mahomes could run the system that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles have put together for him. And I don't think any one of these quarterbacks outside of maybe Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen could run that offense in Philadelphia. Just like I don't think Jalen Hurts could go into Kansas City and run that offense. I don't. He doesn't have the arm for it. But again, you build these offenses, in my opinion, to the skill set of the player you have. They're not paying Jalen Hurts to be Patrick Mahomes. They're paying Jalen Hurts to do what Jalen Hurts does. And see, that's the one thing that Indianapolis hasn't figured out yet. They're trying to replace Andrew Luck with certain types of athletes, and they can't. They can't replace them. When it comes to Geno, I agree. Anyone can have a solid year. When you have so much bad tape, it's hard to forget. Right. And then you realize, well, these are the things that he did that were so great last year. And then the coordinators go out, and what do? They go back into the bad tape archives, and they put what they did against Geno when Geno was in New York. And they put defensive game plans together against Geno. You know, Geno does have better talent now, I would think. I mean, DK Metcalf and better coaching in that Seattle organization. So, I mean, he got better coaching. But the coaches that he's going to take on, and especially like a Rams with Raheem Morris as a D coordinator, Raheem's going to figure that out. I know Raheem. He'll figure Geno out. And Geno's got to, again, can you get better at 33? Probably. I think he could probably still do some wonderful things in the NFL. He had a great year last year. Top 5 when it came to MVP. Top 5. This is why I said this the last couple days here about Jalen Hurts. I want to show you this here one more time here, this list of quarterbacks. Geno is in the Magnificent Seven now. Do you understand how far he's come and how hard this is for me? I don't know if I've ever seen a player skyrocket up a list this fast. Last year, May 16th, none of us were talking like this. Nobody in here. He had a mediocre first year starting, which is not uncommon. Look at Trevor Lawrence's first year. He had to get over shitty coaching, albeit, I get it. But he's now in, these are the 7 players you'd start a franchise with. Okay? I don't know about this. By the way, the group that got drafted this year, I don't think they're very good. I think the guy in Carolina is the best. I think the rest of them, I'm sorry, man, but I don't have the high grades. I don't think this is a very good quarterback class. I think it is better than the one that was in the previous year. And I think it's a step up, but I don't think it's great. Like when I look at Anthony Richardson, I don't think he's a great talent. I think he's a great athlete. What does that mean? But to me, Justin Fields has a better shot at being a star in this league than Anthony Richardson. So you think he's really going to improve in the NFL? Maybe better coaching, because Josh Allen did. Josh Allen improved with better coaching with the Bills. He got shitty coaching in high school, and he got shitty coaching in college. He got better. Maybe he gets better too with Shane Steichen. Shane put an offense together for Jalen. It gave them the ability to be able to win games putting a system together. And that's pretty much why Shane. See, I think that thing is going to be a bust, or I think that thing is going to blow up, and it's going to be great. Okay? Steichen is no Dable. Yeah, but the difference, JM, that he has done is that he's not going to. The one thing Shane Steichen does that I agree with John McMullen here. See, I disagree with John. I don't think he's a play calling guy because RPO is decision making. Got nothing to do with the play caller, but he's got a lot to do with who designed the system. Now, if you want to tell me that you think Shane Steichen is a great system designer, he learned that from Frank Reich, absolutely, and I would agree with that. But to sit there and say that he called magnificent games is not true. The decision making that Jalen Hurts had and did, in my opinion, it all came down to his decision-making in-game, in the moment. But the one thing Shane did do, he customized a system for that player's skill set. He's not going to put a Tom Brady offense. The old school, we all know this. The old school, this is why you don't see the Ernie Zampesis or the North Turners anymore as the offensive coordinators. This is why, because you know why? They had a system. They had a system like this, and if that player's skill did not fit the system, the player was hosed. That's why you had more failure with quarterbacks. You understand that that's why you're seeing a little more success now with quarterbacks coming into the NFL than prior, because you know why? A coach would have a system in, and if you couldn't run, that's why John Gruden struggles with quarterbacks. John Gruden, the game has passed him by. He's not a good coach. John Gruden has a system, and most players can't pick the system up. John Gruden makes the player fit his system. Most good coordinators today look at the player and come up with a system that fits them. That's why you're seeing a lot of young guys you shake your head at and go, who the fuck's this guy? Who's Shane Steichen? Who's Kevin Stefanski? Who are these dudes? I've never seen these guys. Where'd they come from? That's because they know how to build an offensive game plan. That's what the Eagles have done. And it's funny because the Eagles now, Jalen Hurts is the Philadelphia Eagle offense. If Jalen Hurts got hurt, you'd have to build an entirely new offense, or at least your approach. That's why when they put Minshew in last year, it was a train wreck. It was a complete train wreck. Hurts isn't. Who's Jonathan Gannon? Hey, Jonathan Gannon, I'm going to get to him here in the second hour here. Don't forget Merrill Reese is going to join us also at 4:30 Eastern time. I haven't answered my own question here yet. Tone, who would you pick? Mahomes? Not Mahomes. Mahomes, the easy one. Lamar, Burrow, Allen, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Hurts. Guy who does not turn the ball over, Jalen. Who's the guy with the best arm of that group? It's probably Josh Allen. Who's the guy that is the best leader? It's probably Joe Burrow. Who's the guy that's the most athletic of all these guys? It's probably Lamar. Who's the guy that has all of those intangibles in some form or fashion? You know, I'll tell you this. What's interesting here, when you make that comment with these 7 guys, I think these are the 7 guys, by the way. Is Jalen have the best arm? No. But he's getting better. Is Jalen one of the better athletes? Yeah. Does Jalen have all the intangibles? Yeah. Does he see the game well? Yeah. Is his decision-making great? Yeah. Watch this with Josh Allen. Is Josh Allen's decision-making great? No. Is he a good field leader? I don't know. Does he have a great arm? Absolutely. Is he an athlete? Absolutely. But you see, there's something missing there, isn't there? Joe Burrow, is he a great athlete? I don't think so. Is he a good field leader? Yeah. Does he have the intangibles? Yeah. Does he have a big arm? It's good. Like Jalen. It's good arm. Above average. Herbert, is he a good decision maker? No. Does he force footballs into double coverage and sometimes triple coverage? Yeah. Does he lose games in critical moments? Yeah. Is he an athlete? No. Where I'm going here is that Jalen kind of has a little bit of everything when it comes to these other 7 guys or 6 guys, right? So he may not have the best arm, but it's above average. He may not be the best athlete, but he's probably second, third. Is he a good decision maker? Shit, man. He's probably the best next to Mahomes. Does he turn the ball over? No. So what we're saying here, I guess, Tone, is what we're all, everyone, and I get it. I get it too. But am I right when I say this? Jalen may not be the best arm. He may not be the most athletic. But he's got a little bit of everything. Like B.B. King says, looks like Jalen Hurts is kind of like taking a little bit of everything, put it in a pot, and turned it into the Jalen Hurts soup. And this is what you get. A $255 million guy you feel comfortable moving forward with because he has every single intangible that every one of these other guys have. And every one of these other guys don't have all of them and don't connect all the dots that Jalen does. Like, look at Mahomes even. Is Mahomes a great athlete? Yes. Is Mahomes a good decision maker? I think he gets a lot of help from Andy because I think Andy reels him in. I think Andy reels him in. Then go with Jalen. Nobody's stopping the rugby scrum. Not till they make it illegal, weapon. Not till they make it illegal. It's funny, a year ago this time, I would have fought you guys tooth and nail. I would have taken Josh Allen over Jalen Hurts. Do I think he has a better arm than Allen? Absolutely not. Is he bigger? No. Is he more dirt? He played all 17 games last year and won 14 games. So for me, but then there's winning and not making stupid mistakes, forcing footballs in the second half, double coverage. How can you not see that? Right? How could you not see that? Hurts ain't making that play. That's the one thing that Jalen will do. There may not be a shitload of spectacular throws down the field, but you know what you're not going to see? The spectacular turnover like you did in the Super Bowl. I think that's what kind of shocked us all, is that when that scoop and score happened against Philly, because nobody had seen it all year. He had protected the football so well all year, and that thing just got magnified more because you were like, holy shit. That play was like, it was a one of. That's why, because you don't see that with him. Okay? And that's why I say this. That could happen to anybody. Yale goes, Mahomes improvs a lot. He does. And I think that's why Andy has to reel him in sometimes. And you know what else, too? I think Mahomes gets bored throwing those intermediate passes. And he's not patient enough. I think Hurts is patient. You know, it's funny, man. Jalen belongs in this list. I would never have said that. Never in a million years would I have said that he belongs in that conversation. Never. No way would I have said that. I think that he has improved so much so. Okay? He's improved so much. All right. I want to talk a little bit about Howie and how he's attacked this offseason. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a timeout here. Please hit the like button. Don't forget, at the bottom of the hour, our friend Merrill Reese will join us. Hit the like button. Hour 2. Keep it here on the National Football Show.